In the heart of a bustling city stood St. Augustine's orphanage, its walls weathered by time, but within, it held stories of hope and resilience. Among its inhabitants was a young boy named Lucas, who had spent the entirety of his 17 years within its confines. Lucas knew nothing of his origins. He was left at the orphanage's doorstep as a newborn, wrapped in a simple blanket, with only a name tag that read Lucas pinned to his clothing. Despite the uncertainty of his beginnings, Lucas grew up with a resilient spirit. He was known for his kindness and his unwavering optimism, traits that endeared him to both the staff and the other children. Yet, deep within him, there always lingered a curiosity about his past, a longing to know where he came from and who his biological parents were. As Lucas grew older, his desire to uncover the truth about his origins intensified. He spent countless nights poring over old records in the orphanage's archives, searching for any clue that might lead him to his biological family. Determined not to give up, Lucas turned to the internet, scouring social media and genealogy websites in the hopes of finding a lead. It was during one of these late-night searches that he stumbled upon a name that sent a shiver down his spine: Mark Anderson, a wealthy businessman with ties to the city where Lucas was born. With newfound determination, Lucas delved deeper into his research, piecing together fragments of information until he finally uncovered a connection between himself and Mark Anderson, a connection that suggested Mark might be his biological father. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Lucas set out to confront Mark Anderson, his heart pounding with anticipation and apprehension. He found himself standing outside a towering skyscraper that bore the name Anderson Enterprises in bold letters, a stark contrast to the humble surroundings of the orphanage he had called home for so long. Summoning all his courage, Lucas entered the building and made his way to the executive offices, where he was met with curious glances from the employees who passed by. Finally, he reached the door bearing Mark Anderson's name and knocked tentatively. "Come in," a voice called from within, and Lucas pushed open the door, stepping into the lavish office beyond. Mark Anderson sat behind a polished mahogany desk, his expression unreadable as he regarded the young man standing before him. He offered him a seat. Lucas felt a surge of nervousness, but he squared his shoulders and met Mark's gaze head-on. "Mr. Anderson, my name is Lucas," he began, his voice steady despite the turmoil within him. I believe you may be my father." Mark Anderson's reaction was one of stunned disbelief, but as Lucas recounted the details of his search and the evidence he had uncovered, a flicker of recognition passed across Mark's face. As the truth began to unfold, Lucas learned of the circumstances that had led to his separation from his father, a tragic series of events that had torn their family apart. Mark had been a young man, struggling to make ends meet, when he had met Lucas's mother, a free spirit whose wanderlust had captured his heart. Their love had been passionate but fleeting, and when Lucas's mother had discovered she was pregnant, she had disappeared without a trace, leaving Mark alone and bewildered. With a heavy heart, Mark confessed that he had searched for Lucas and his mother for years, but his efforts had been in vain. He had poured himself into his work, building his business empire from the ground up in an attempt to fill the void left by their absence. Despite the pain of the past, a bond began to form between Lucas and Mark, a bond forged by the shared longing for what could have been. Mark welcomed Lucas into his life with open arms, eager to make up for lost time and to build a relationship based on trust and mutual respect. For Lucas, the transition from orphan to millionaire's son was a dizzying whirlwind of emotions. Suddenly thrust into a world of luxury and privilege, he struggled to reconcile the humble roots from which he had come with the opulence that surrounded him. Yet, amidst the glamour and extravagance, Lucas never forgot where he came from. He remained true to the values instilled in him by the orphanage, a sense of compassion, humility, and gratitude for the opportunities he had been given. As Lucas settled into his new life alongside Mark, he found himself navigating a world vastly different from the one he had known in the orphanage. The spacious penthouse apartment, the chauffeured cars, and the extravagant social events were all foreign to him, but he approached each new experience with a sense of wonder and curiosity. Mark, too, embraced the opportunity to reconnect with his son, eager to share his wealth and wisdom with Lucas. Yet, amidst the glitz and glamour, Lucas remained grounded by the memories of his upbringing in the orphanage. He continued to volunteer his time at local charities, using his newfound resources to make a difference in the lives of those less fortunate. Mark watched with pride as his son demonstrated a generosity of spirit that mirrored his own, grateful for the chance to impart upon him the values that had shaped his own journey. As the months passed, Lucas grew more comfortable in his role as Mark's son, finding solace in the love and acceptance that had eluded him for so long. He forged friendships with his newfound family members, including Mark's wife, Emily, and his half-siblings, who welcomed him with open arms into their lives. Yet, despite the obstacles they faced, father and son refused to give up on each other. They leaned on one another for support, finding strength in their shared determination to overcome whatever obstacles stood in their way. As Lucas delved deeper into his relationship with Mark, he began to uncover the true extent of his father's wealth and influence. He learned of the empire that Mark had built from the ground up, from the humble beginnings of a small business to the multinational corporation it had become. But more than that, Lucas discovered the legacy that Mark had worked so tirelessly to create, a legacy of philanthropy and compassion that extended far beyond the boardroom. He witnessed firsthand the impact of Mark's charitable endeavors, from funding medical research to providing scholarships for underprivileged students. Inspired by his father's example, Lucas became increasingly involved in the family business, eager to learn the ins and outs of the industry that had shaped his father's life. Under Mark's guidance, he honed his skills as a businessman, immersing himself in the intricacies of finance and entrepreneurship. Together, father and son worked side by side, building upon the foundation that Mark had laid and laying the groundwork for a future filled with promise and possibility. They learned to forgive each other for past mistakes, recognizing that true healing could only come from a place of understanding and acceptance. In the end, it was their shared experiences that brought them closer together, forging a bond that was stronger than any obstacle they faced. And as they looked towards the future, they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, as father and son. For in each other, they had found the strength to overcome adversity and the courage to chase their dreams. For theirs was a story of hope and redemption, of love and forgiveness, a story that would live on in the hearts of all who knew them.